Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So, once again, I'm doing the dual Instagram, Facebook live thing at the same time. So, if you're wondering why I keep looking in a weird direction, that's why. Um, so, as you guys are hopping on, please say hello. Let me know who's watching. Today, we're going to be talking about menstrual cycle magic. I'm going to give you guys like a little the basics 101, like how to start harnessing this magic that you have within your body, right? And this is not just for women who bleed. So if you no longer bleed, if you're on a pill, or for some reason, one reason or another, you don't bleed, or you identify as a woman and you don't have a menstrual cycle, this is still something that you can tap into. This is still something that you can work with, and this is an energy that you can integrate into your body to help you get even more in tune, more in touch with your body and your feminine nature and your femininity, your feminine energy, all the good stuff, okay? So as you guys are hopping on, please say hello. Let me know who's watching. If you're watching the replay, I love a little hashtag replay so I can, know who's interacting and who's enjoying this content, right? This is what I love to put out for everyone. And, it's nice to know that it's appreciated every once in a while, okay? So I'm going to just get right into it. We all have this cycle that we go through, right? Whether, like I said, whether we bleed or not, we go through different cycles in our life. Men, women, all of it, okay? So for example, right, we're going to be talking about menstrual cycles today, but our menstrual cycle is connected to the moon, the seasons, cycles of life. You could connect it to probably 500 other things, but that's what I'm going to talk about today, is how that energy is relevant in each of those cycles and how you can tap into that depending on what phase you are in your own cycle, or in the moon cycle, during the seasons, during your life, all of that, okay? So I'm going to give you guys like a little bit of a basics menstrual cycle magic 101, all right? So first of all, one thing that I do need to bring up is that a lot of times when I ask women, oh, do you track your menstrual cycle? They're like, yeah, I know when I bleed, right? And we think that our menstrual cycle is just the days that we're bleeding, just the days we have our period. But what I'm actually referring to, and especially now in this video, is the entire 28-ish days, sometimes a little more, a little less, depending on your body. It's the entire cycle. So, from the day that you bleed until the day that you're about to bleed again, right? All that time in between. Usually we focus so much on just the days that we have our period, or the days leading up to it when we're feeling crappy or having PMS kind of stuff. And we forget about all the other stuff. We forget about that in between. But there's so much to harness. There's so much in the energy in between that we can tap into and empower ourselves with, right? So this is a way for us to not only get more in tune with our own intuition, with our femininity, with our body's needs, but it's a way for us to get to know ourselves better, to begin using it to manifest things, to release and let go of things, right? We literally, when I say like we have magic in our body, maybe it sounds like a little cheesy or gimmicky or something like that, but like we actually have magic in our body. There's actually like this crazy phenomenon happening within us, and we're able to tap into that, learn how to understand it, and work with it to create things, to release things, to move through things, to shine light on what needs to be shifted in our life. I mean, it's literally like, it's magic. Like, I don't know how else to say it, all right? I'm going to just call it magic, okay? So let's talk about the first phase. So the first phase in this, this cycle is the phase that correlates to springtime. And this is also what would correlate to the days just after the new moon, the days that we, just after we stop bleeding, and the years that we experience being young, being a maiden, being like a young woman, that kind of time, right? So the energy that's held in that phase is one of blooming, of new life, of creation, inspiration. I mean, if you just think about the energy of like a young girl who has, isn't jaded, has never been hurt before, who nobody ever told her that, her dreams were crazy or stupid. What is that energy? That's like an energy of play and excitement. And this is something that we, no matter how old we are, no matter how disconnected we are from that inner child or that part of us, this is something that we can really harness and we can use in our favor, right? We can use it to help us to manifest. We can use it to help us to move through blocks, to expand in our life. I mean, literally tapping into the energy of these phases is life-changing. It's completely life-changing. So that's the first phase. And the time that you can harness this energy, like I said, it's the week or so that follows your period. So let's say you bleed for like 4-ish days, just as an example. Everyone's different and it's all good. So it would be like starting from the last day that you finish bleeding until about a week later. So you have about a week, between when you stop bleeding to when this phase starts to shift, okay? And that's when you can tap into it if you're tracking your menstrual cycle. If not, it's the week right after the new moon. So after the moon goes dark, that first week as it starts to rise and get bright again, that's when this energy is really potent, when we're able to, it's kind of like springtime. It's what it feels like, What does springtime feel like to you? It feels like blooming, new energy, fresh spring cleaning, right? So that's what we get to really tap into. And when we start to kind of align our lives to recognizing when that's the most prevalent in our bodies and what we're the best at in that time, right? So we're good at making plans and dreams and blueprints and having new ideas. We're good at cleaning stuff out. We're good at like ushering in the new, right? So how would that be beneficial to you in your life? How would that energy help you? And can you start to move or like shift certain things and align them to be scheduled in that time, right? I know it's not always possible, but can you start to align more of your life with that energy and these phases? Okay, so that's the first phase. The second phase is summertime, right? So this is also the phase that's in relation to the mother kind of energy. It's, like I said, summertime. So what does summertime feel like to you? To me, it feels like a time of creation, a time of giving birth, a time of like, you want to be out, you want to be seen, you want to be creating, doing, you're really active, you're energized, you're motivated. This is when you're the most productive. So this is also the time in your body for women who are menstruating. It's around ovulation. You're following the moon. It's around the full moon. And this is a time when you're a master manifester. You're able to create things. You're able to bring things to fruition. You're able to, if you have like a big meeting or you need to film something or do a photo shoot or any of those kinds of things, this is the time that you want to do it, right? When you are in this place and you're feeling the most potent. And this is just like part of your nature, right? And so here's the kicker. This spring and summertime, these two energies that I just spoke about, this is where so many of us try to live all the time. We're trying to always be creating new ideas and then producing, create and produce, thinking about things, running them out, doing that like boom, boom, boom. But this is only the first half of our cycle. And as we move into the second half, the last two phases, this is when we go from being really outward, really energetic, really good at producing and creating, to actually turning inward, becoming more nurturing and more introspective. This is when we become more intuitive. A lot of us feel like we're becoming really grouchy and lazy and low energy and binging on food. And you know what I mean? Like, this is where a lot of us start to feel like we go off track and get kind of lost. You know, you feel like maybe you took like 2 steps forward, and then as soon as you go into that second phase of your cycle, it feels like you took like 14 steps back. You know, does anybody feel that? Maybe you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. So this is the side, or the half of the cycle, our cycle, that I love to talk about. And I love to get really deep in, because this is what I feel that so many women don't appreciate or understand, right? If we don't understand it, we can't really appreciate it. So this is what I really love to like dive into deeply. Like I said, today I'm just touching on the basics of it, because this is what I'm going deep, deep, deep into in my program, Divine Vessel Activation, right? Is how to use all of these energies that are already present in us, become aware of it so that we can harness that energy and harness the power within each cycle. Okay, so then the third phase that we go through is fall, right? And, you know, for those of you who are on the, you know, the same side of the world that I am, or the same half, you know, we're experiencing fall right now. Like, things are starting to fall away. And it's that idea, like, what do we need to let fall away? What do we need to recognize worked or didn't work? You know, it's kind of like taking an energetic inventory on our life and seeing what is in alignment, what isn't in alignment. And we can get really clear during this part of our cycle, because our mind, you know, because of the hormones that are fluctuating in our body, our brain skills are actually feeling very doused, and we're not as sharp in our mind, which a lot of people see as like, oh shit, like now my mental capacity is not as good, you know, now I'm getting dumb. But no, 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 this is actually beautiful, because it's causing you, it's almost like forcing you to tune into your intuition, to turn off that that very like mental side of you, and tap into what your body knows, right? Because we live up here, so many of us, right? Neck up. We live in our heads, and we're so out of touch with our bodies. And so this is actually a great time for us to use that energy to tap into our body, our intuition, to be really clear on things, to speak our truth, to, you know, not care as much what others are thinking. You know, we kind of like that filter, you know, I almost feel like we go like no filter at that time, because, you know, our guard is down and we're just like, this is who I am, you know. And funny enough, this is the phase that is correlated to menopause. And so a lot of women, what I'm seeing, and I feel like I'm more and more drawn to like working in this, with this phase, because if we don't learn how to work with this phase now, right, we're being given an opportunity every month or so to tap into that energy and tap into the power of it. Then when we do go through that phase of our life, it's going to be so much more difficult. If we learn how to tap into that now and find the power in it, and really start to harness, you know, the beauty, the beautiful side of it, that's going to make it so much easier when we go through that phase of life. You know, you see so many people struggling going through menopause, having all kinds of different symptoms and physical issues, and you know, all kinds of things happen. And I think that we're actually given this opportunity to work with that energy now, you know, little by little, and that there's so much beauty in it, right? So the last cycle is winter, right? And that's correlated with the crone, the wise woman. And this is the time when, just before the moon goes dark, right? The couple days before and during your period, when you're releasing, you're letting go, and you don't really want to do a whole lot. You want to just rest, recharge, rejuvenate. And, in our society, it's not really taught to us to give ourselves that break. We're taught to be very linear, to always be producing, to always be pushing out more, 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 more. Give, 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 right? But this is the time for us to take, to allow, to just let go, to surrender, to, just bleed. And in that bleeding, whether that be like physical bleeding or just releasing energetically, it's a release not only for us, it's not only cleansing our body, but it's a cleansing for the collective, right? And this is what women used to do when they would gather and they would bleed together every month. They would let go for their entire village, right? They would be doing this kind of like this ritual, this ceremony of release and cleansing, not just for themselves, but for everyone, right? And this is something that we have an opportunity to do every single month. And when I say month, I mean like 28 days-ish. But like I said, it's something that we all have access to, we all are capable of doing. And when we really learn how to tap into this energy, this is not only going to help us with the collective, but it does help us to see what's out of alignment in our life. It helps us to get really in tune and honest with ourselves, honest with our bodies. And inevitably, things start to fall into place, right? A lot of what I'm going to be teaching in Divine Vessel Activation is how each of these phases, how they hold different elements that are correlated to why we might hold on to excess weight and why we might be, looking to unhealthy habits to kind of suppress us or to numb us or to distract us. And so that's what we're going to get really deep in, looking at each of these phases. And so I'm super excited. This is going to be like one of the most unique courses that I've created so far. And one of the most important, because it's something that every woman needs to understand. We get to all have access to this information, to how to tap into the magic of our menstrual cycle, of our feminine rhythm, and really learn how to use that energy, how to turn it into our magic, how to take it from seeming to be a burden or like something that keeps us from being productive and making it our superpower, right? And so if you are wanting to learn more about this, how to tap into the energy of your feminine cycle and how to use it to help you release excess weight, to get in alignment, feel like you're living in flow, love your body, be in touch with your body, I would love to have you join us for Divine Vessel Activation. The doors close on Friday. We start on Monday. Of course, we're going to be doing the course in tune with the moon cycles, because that's how I roll. And so we are going to be starting, we're starting Tuesday actually, sorry. But doors close on Friday. And if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. There's a link in my bio if you're watching on Instagram. And if you're watching on Facebook, I'll put a link in the comments. But please feel free to reach out, send me a message if you have any questions. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. All right, bye.